Hey, you know who it is, the Angry Canuck. And, there's been some great back and forth between Gratex and TheModernMystic, and good. You know what, I really encourage people to watch that. I really encourage people to take a look at that and see what they're talking about, because, these issues are very real issues. Let me try and break it down for people and try and make things more simple. Okay, a lot of people are clueless when it comes to money. Okay, and a lot of people are clueless. Firstly, as a human, what we do is we work. We have nothing without work. It could be working in the garden. It could be, does Mendham work? Sure he does. He works full-time on YouTube. so I mean, there's a lot of us that work. We are going to go crazy if we don't have something to do. This is what we are. Just like there's working ants, working bees, working animals. This is what we do. We work. We do stuff, right? It's important that you understand about generally the dollar, where it comes from, etc. It really is, and I really encourage you to watch Gratex's video in the link section. It's pretty simple to understand. A dollar is basically a unit of work. It measures a unit of work. That's what a dollar is. Some people get more dollars for their unit of work. Okay? They're worth more dollars for what they do, because their work that they do is in higher demand. It's harder to fill. It's harder to find somebody to be able to do it. Okay, so that means they get paid more. Okay, people like to think that it's because the job is more intellectual, or it's more harder to do, or it takes more knowledge to do. That's simply not the case. We had basically like a Krispy Kreme, Tim Hortons coffee shop. When there was a town having a boom in Calgary, they wanted people for $25 an hour because they couldn't fill the position, so that just general labor coffee shop position got in such demand that they were paying $25 an hour. Okay, typically it would have paid like $8 an hour, but it paid $25 an hour because that position was in demand. And here you had these, highly educated people getting paid less than that. Okay, because that's how it works. The more in demand your skill is, the more higher you get paid. Okay, so basically, that's what a dollar is, a measurement of labor. Okay, now, Gratex told a story which is, I've heard that same story countless times. Various friends. The majority of my friends are in debt up to their neck. They're in credit card debt. They're in all sorts of various debts, automobile debt, could be anything. Okay, and it's nothing new. Okay, this is what Gratex's story is. I've heard that story over and over and over again. You go into school, you get a credit card, you start to spend, and eventually you can't pay it back. And then what happens is the credit card company eventually cuts you off, reports the fact to a central agency that you didn't pay off your debt, and then what happens is that they then sell off that debt to a collection agency, who then calls you and harasses you and tries to get the money out of you. Okay, this is all mathematically calculated and worked out. The credit cards are a financial institution, so to speak. They're government-regulated financial institutions that have special powers. They're credit card companies. The credit card companies are public companies that you can invest shares into, okay? Just like all the other banks, like British Telecom, all these sorts of things, okay? People think that there's one person that owns these things, and it's just not the way these corporations work. They're owned mostly by people who have retirement investment plans. Those are the people who usually own a lot of these things. So basically, it's working people who can afford it, that will take part of their salary every month and then put it away in an investment. Okay? Now, here's the thing though. Okay? Is a lot of the people that can afford to pay for these pensions are people who already have good salaries. They already have a lot of money. They're the middle class and upper middle class. Those are the people who can afford to do this. Okay? A lot of people, though, the majority of people, don't even know what a pension is, a retirement fund, a GIC, an RRSP, that sort of thing. They don't know what that is, a 401k. Ask the average American, the average worker, ask the average number one employer, which is $10.55 an hour at Walmart, if they have a 401k plan, okay? They're going to say, what the hell is that? And what I'm suggesting is that when you start to see one of these financial institutions, don't see them as one billionaire at the top out to get you. It just doesn't work like that. They're actually a collective of investments from millions of people all over the United States, millions of people all over Europe, all over the UK. Okay, most of these people. A lot of these people are in unions. For instance, the GM union, a teachers union, government union, a civil servant, they're a government worker. They have these plans built into them. And what they do is they have their own funds and plans for retirement. What they do is that they invest into these institutions, okay, for their retirement. This lady calls up the radio station. She said she's getting close to retirement. She said, I have about $800,000, okay, in my fund. She said 2 years ago. She said 2 years ago I had 800,000. Now I only have 250,000 because the market did tank a little bit. And then she's like, if I take it out early, I'm going to get hit with taxes. This is one of the Canadian schemes that we have here. I'm going to get hit with taxes, and I'm going to be left with $140,000. So if she wants to take out her money that she saved her whole life, she's only going to get $140,000. Okay, this is unlivable. You cannot retire on $140,000. So the government is doing everything in its power right now to make sure GM survives. It's going to make sure that these bank and financial institutions survive. If they were to cut off the credit cards and just, make it reasonable for society, they would lose a lot of money. It would be devastating. I can't describe to you how devastating it would be for everybody's retirement, for their pensions, for everything. If they just eliminated these credit cards, it would be absolute chaos. So much liquidity would get taken out of the market. But don't you see, though, they don't want you to save money in your own bank account. They don't want you to have money. They would rather have the money go into the negative, go into a credit card, and in return you're going to pay the $30, $40, $50 a month. Okay? And we're talking trillions of dollars. That's what they would like to do. They don't want you to buy a kitchen with cash. They want to put this little thing in between you buying your kitchen renovation. They want to put this thing in between you saying, okay, well, we want you to take out the financing because we want all your money to go into, we want to take a $20,000 kitchen and we want to turn it into $30,000 by the end of 6 years. They're going to want to hit you with that interest. And that's a large part of how they are able to keep reporting profits. Okay? Now, when you default on the loan, you're in a small minority of people. But what it does to those people who default, meaning that they don't pay it back, is it ruins their life. It makes it so they can't buy a home. It makes it so they can't buy a car. It makes it so they're stuck in debt and have these people calling them and they can't really pay it back. I mean, it does a lot of things. It's emotionally distressful for your own countrymen, your own citizens. It's emotionally distressful. It's something that's just an awful thing to do. Reasonably, they would why not just give $500? $500 is so small you wouldn't even have to sell it to collections. You could just work that into the interest rate. But they don't do that. They want the kids to run up the credit cards, thousands of dollars, so the parents can come in and bail them out. This is how they make money. They want people to have credit cards. Student loans are one of the biggest scams. Huge interest rates. And the government will say, well, this is our generation. No. They want you out of high school and they want you taking out those loans because they want a piece of your money. They're not going to tax you for the money. They're not going to raise your taxes, but they just want to make sure that your money is put into the system, is put into the financial system. And how do you do that? When you graduate from high school, you take a bunch of student loans out, and sure enough, I'm still paying mine. Okay, but this is what they do. They want you to go into those systems. Okay? Now, the more people, when it comes, the real reason why there's immigrants is because when they come, they bring money. They sign up for credit cards. They make money to an extent. There's more GDP for the government. Okay? Now that it's an immediate result. It's an immediate result that the government can see. One of the things you might see is the government just might open up the borders completely in order to get more people into more money changing hands. Of course, that just isn't going to work. But that's one of the things that you might see. Okay, so this is how the system works. You know, if you're in debt,